first thing I want to address is I know that my wig is not blended well. Hi everyone, it's Eden. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I have a Q&A for you today. I asked you over on Instagram if you had questions for me. I feel like anytime that I make a big move, I need to do a Q&A because there's only so much that I can talk about in vlogs or in DMs or in comments that everyone wants to know. So I figure a Q&A is the best way. I have a lot of questions. Some of them are duplicates, so let's jump into this because, you know, I'm the mouth of the South and your girl can talk. The first thing I want to address is I know that my wig is not blended well. I am not talented in plucking parts. We are in quarantine and my friend that does that is not available. First question, coming in hot. Will you get married to the boy? I sure hope so. I love that boy so much. On my birthday, we actually tried on rings for the first time together. It was crazy. He's much more blingy than I am. His ring costs like $1,000 more than mine, but my mom was there, so it was super special, and I don't know. It just gets me all giddy, but yes, I hope that we will get married. What foods did you not like as a kid but you love now? So I wouldn't consider myself a typical kid. Maybe I am, but I ate weird things growing up. Like I loved eating pickled beets with my mom. She would always buy pickled beets and I loved that. I loved sardines with mustard and crackers. That was one of my favorite things growing up. So I had a very diverse palate as a kid. One of the only things that I can think of that I didn't like was sweet and sour. Like that's the only time my mom would cook me a separate meal, but I still don't like sweet and ooh, black eyed peas. I hated black eyed peas growing up. I loved lima beans, I loved Brussels sprouts, and this was back in the day before roasting Brussels sprouts was cool. They were boiled and I still love them. I did not like black eyed peas. I don't currently eat beans, but like over the last couple of years, I really started to love black eyed peas. Are you receiving backlash for not being vegan, and how are you handling it? I'm not receiving a ton of backlash. I did get a little bit, which was to be expected, and people are allowed to feel however they want to feel. But overall, I felt like I really got a huge outpouring of love. And even though I was handling it fine because I'm a grown woman and I'm confident in the decisions that I make in my life, and being a fat person on the internet in general, you kind of get policed and people say rude stuff to you all the time, so you get used to it. And I just can't care what other people think about the decisions I make for my life. And a lot of times when I say that, people think I'm just being sassy, but like, no, I can't care what other people think about me. If I cared what other people thought about me or the decisions I made for my life, I'd have terrible body image. I'd have no confidence in myself. I would feel like I was worthless. Like, these are the things that I would feel if I cared what other people said. So it's really out of self-preservation that I can't care what people on the internet think about what I do with my life. And not even people on the internet, people in general. I'm confident in the decisions that I make for my life, so it's been fine. But I do want to say the outpouring of love that I got from this community, like, it could make me cry. Some of your guys' messages like completely made me tear up because it was just pure compassion and unconditional love for me and the decisions I decided to make. And I really hope that you guys are giving that same grace to other people that you follow and people in your life as well, because it feels so good to know that somebody loves you and cares about you. And I hope you're giving that to people, because we're all doing this life thing for the first time. We're not all going to get it right all of the time. We're not always going to be perfect. Not everything in your life is going to work out, and not everything in your life is going to be permanent. And the only difference between me and you is I'm sharing it, and that's just like magnified times 100 when you're online. So I hope that you are all spreading what I got to everyone in your lives, because it felt amazing. Like, I can't explain how special that made me feel, and thank you. Do you ever plan on having babies? So yes, I am working on making sure that my fertility is good, making sure that my health is optimal for fertility later in life. As you guys know, I'm in my 30s, and at this point, if I decided to have children, I would be considered like a geriatric pregnancy. What? Why do they call it that? Like a geriatric pregnancy, they make you feel real old, girl. So I just want to have my fertility in order in case we want to have kids. You guys know I have a huge heart for foster care and adoption, and that's something that I really want as well, but I can't say definitively if I'll ever feel the need to have children of my own. So I just want to do my best to make sure I'm in the position and good health to make sure that if that is something that I decide, that God willing, hopefully my fertility will be A1. So there's no way of knowing. Women in my family are not popping out babies left and right. A lot of women in my family have had a rough time with fertility, so I'm just trying to take all of the steps that I can just in case. So, well, long answer, but maybe. More about no FODMAPs. I may have a similar sensitivity, would like to know more of your journey. So in order to figure out exactly what I could eat and what I couldn't eat, I did a medically supervised elimination diet. I highly suggest finding a dietitian for this process. I know being able to afford a dietitian is a privilege. Like, a lot of people in our country right now have lost their jobs and don't even have health care. Like, I was able, luckily, to get my dietitian through my insurance, and it covered most of it. It was still pretty costly because I had to pay a copay at every single meeting that we had, and we were meeting once a week basically for a few months at a time. It's very involved. It's a very long process, and I can imagine that it would be incredibly difficult to keep up with on your own. You can do some research on it. These are high FODMAP foods. These are low FODMAP foods. I cut out all high FODMAP foods, and then on a weekly basis, my dietitian worked each one of these foods back into my diet. That's a lot of foods, and this isn't even all encompassing of high FODMAP foods. So it takes quite a while. Based on my elimination diet, I now know what foods I can eat. And the determination, I guess, on if I could eat a certain food was based on gas and bloating, digestive pain, if it caused diarrhea, constipation, or GERD symptoms. So that's how I know what I can eat and what I can't eat, and it's gonna be highly individual per person. Like, some people, I like to follow the low FODMAP hashtag just to get like meal ideas and stuff. Some people can eat oats. I can't eat oats at all. I was drinking oat milk for a while, and I couldn't figure out like why my stomach was starting to hurt again. I was like, what's happening? I can't eat oats. Like, it's gonna be very individual per person. That's why I think if you're able to find a dietitian, especially through your insurance, it's definitely worth it to go through an elimination diet with them. And I do wanna say that the whole FODMAP thing is not the reason that I'm not vegan, not the only reason. There are like 8 to 10 reasons, maybe. This is just a portion of it. Do you like herbs and supplements? Yes, I do. I love CBD, which I would consider an herbal supplement. I love this little wellness tincture that I take. I love Leafy, which is like a turmeric and ginger elixir. My mom, when I was growing up, she had this book of home remedies. I remember it just said home remedies on the top. And I've never found a book like it again, but she'd always look through it to see like if there was an alternate way to deal with any way that I was sick, or if I wasn't feeling well, or she would ask my granny like, hey, my kid is feeling this way, what can I do? And my granny's like, put salt water on it. Like, there's always some kind of remedy. And it's not that I'm like anti-science. I love medicine. Like, I take an allergy medicine every day, but with that I also use like essential oils like eucalyptus to keep my nasal passages open. So I feel like wellness supplements are exactly that. They supplement your wellness. So herbal supplements do that for me. I do feel like on occasion practitioners have a tendency to overprescribe instead of getting to the root of a cause or addressing lifestyle. And I know that because I was a medical assistant for a few years, and that was something that I really disliked about the medical industry. But I think there's a place for both, and I think you should do research, but also watch out for people that are trying to sell you snake oil, because there's a lot of those people on the internet. But yes, I do love herbal supplements and natural remedies and things like that. Have you ever struggled with any disordered eating? I'm struggling so bad right now. So I've been very honest in the past, not necessarily with disordered eating, but over exercising, like trying to burn more calories than I would eat in a day. And if you're struggling with anything like that was, my heart completely goes out to you. And I have been someone that's always prided myself on having a pretty good relationship with food. But during the process of working with a dietitian, she noticed a lot of habits in me when it comes to food that I didn't notice in myself. And I have been like actively working on those. I think the most important thing about your message is that you know that you're struggling, so that you know that there's an issue, so that you can try your best to get to the bottom of it. If you can afford counseling or a therapist, it's a wonderful thing. I hope that you can do that. If not, try to find some coping tools that are healthier, so that you can get to a place where you don't struggle with food. Like, food's something that we have to face every single day. So having a good relationship with it is very important. So I hope that you can get to a place where you feel comfortable and like you're in control of your body, your thoughts, and your eating. Are you allergic to legumes? Sorry you had to drastically change your diet. I'm not allergic to legumes, they're just higher in FODMAPs, so I don't eat beans or legumes at all at this point. There was a point where I was trying to work them back in, but it's not worth it. Here's the thing, like, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I know that's not how you meant it, but I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. And you know that I'm like big on not feeling victimized by things. Like, I don't want to feel like I was forced to do something or like I had to do something. I chose to change my diet. Like, the power of choice is like incredibly empowering. So I chose to change my diet and I'm happy with that choice. I don't want to feel like I had to do anything or like I was forced to do anything. I chose that, and I'm confident in my choice. I'm not allergic to legumes, but I don't eat beans or legumes, but I am allergic to soy. How'd you get into yoga? What made you want to become a yoga teacher? I got into yoga back in 2007. There used to be these workout videos called Yoga Booty Ballet, and I bought the DVDs, and the yoga part was always my favorite part. I kind of drifted away from it for years, and then at the end of my last weight loss journey, one of my trainers had suggested that I go to Body Flow, which is the Les Mills version of yoga. And I absolutely loved it. I loved that there was ease and that there was effort. And with the effort, your mind got some ease. I really loved that, and that was around 2013. And I continued a sporadic yoga practice, like I go once every 2 weeks or something to a drop-in class. But the thing that I felt was missing was representation in my area. at some point I found Instagram yoga, which was amazing. I found lots of plus size ladies that were doing yoga, but I was disappointed that I couldn't practice with them in my area. So the reason I got certified was because I felt like every area, like every city, every state needed to have a plus size yoga instructor, so that if there was someone like me that just wanted to see a body more similar to theirs moving, or a body that would know what the modification was, because so often I was just told to go to child's pose and I was like, okay, but I'm not getting the same engagement as the rest of the class. There has to be another option for me. So I wanted to know options and know how to observe bodies like mine to give them options. So that's why I got certified. Have you gone back to work full time? And if so, are you back in the same type of position? Yes, I went back to work when Nicole started to get pretty sick. I think it was after the first time she hurt her back, I decided to go back to work. She's an older dog. I knew she was going to continue to get a bit sicker. And I didn't want my income to be based around videos that would show her like struggling. Even if they weren't about her, like she's a part of my life, I vlog. I wanted like her bright, spunky, like sprightly times to be on camera. I didn't want to have to make videos if she wasn't feeling well, or if I wasn't feeling well emotionally because she wasn't in great condition. So I went back to my same job. I texted my boss. I saw that they had a position posted. I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? She's like, yeah, you want to apply? I said yes, and they didn't interview anyone else. Our VP of sales flew down from Denver. She had lunch with me. After lunch, she said, you're hired. So basically the lunch was just so sweet, y'all. Like, the company is amazing. The whole lunch was, are you sure you're gonna have time to do this? You know, we're not gonna require you to work crazy hours. It's like 8 to 5, but I know you're super passionate about your videos and your yoga, and I want you to be able to continue doing it. I told her about my travel schedule. I was like, when I teach workshops, I'll need to take off a Friday, and then I'll come in like halfway through Monday. And she's like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. They put me back in at my same tenure, so I had the same amount of vacation time, and I have loved being back to work. I'm currently furloughed, but I love being back in at work. I love corporate. I just love corporate. And maybe I'll start my own corporation someday, but I've been able to do YouTube and work for a very long time, so I foresee continuing being able to do that. So yes, back at work, loving it. Insurance is so much better. Marketplace insurance for independently employed people freaking sucks. You get the worst coverage for like 4 times more a month than if you were just at a regular job. Like, it's annoying. The taxes, not great. Of course, I had a little nest egg, so I could have continued on if I wanted to, but it just felt right. The stars aligned, so I went back to work. At what age did you start living on your own? Do you still feel like your mother tries to tell you what to do? I moved out when I was 18. I moved to Texas. I lived with my grandparents for a couple of months. Then I moved to Austin with a roommate, and I was on my own for a while. Then I went back to school. So I moved back in with my parents when I was 20 or 21. I lived with them for 3 years. Me and Nicole lived with them for 3 years. That's why she stayed with them for a while, because their dog and her had bonded. I lived with them. Then I moved down to campus. So I moved out at 18, and then I moved back out around 24. Yes. And my mother, yes, she still tells me what to do. But here's the thing. Once you're an adult, you get to decide if you want to listen or not. So you can just say, yeah, okay, mom, got it. You know, like, you don't have to listen anymore. And relationships with moms are complicated. But like I said earlier, moms are also people. They don't get it right all the time. They're trying their best. A lot of how they react is a product of how they were brought up. Like, there's more that goes into parenting than just, you're a parent, you're perfect, you know? So we have to see our parents as people as well. So I think once you start to see your parents as people, your relationship with them will change, and it will change the older that you get and the more that you set those boundaries. So yes, my mom still tells me what to do. 60% of the time, she's right. 40% of the time, doing what I want to do. And the last question is, are you on Weight Watchers? Yes, I am. I've been on Weight Watchers since I lived back with Sarah, which was, I guess coming on, no, about 3 years ago. I was on it for a while, then I was back off, then I was on for a while, then I was back off, now I'm back on. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't feel like talking about weight loss is body positive. I think losing weight is body positive, and I think it can be done in a body positive way. I don't necessarily think that talking about it is body positive, and I had an Instagram that was a weight loss account for my first few years of being on Instagram, and personally that put a lot of pressure on me, and I don't need the pressure. Like losing weight, changing your body, maintaining your weight, which is an option on Weight Watchers as well. It's like it's a mental and physical challenge, and you don't need outside perspective and outside expectations of your body to be changing. So that's why I haven't shared it, and I honestly won't be sharing much about it. This person asked because they saw me on the Connect app, which the Connect app is like the private social media within the Weight Watchers app. So they saw me on there and they asked if it was me, but it is me, and it says my name there also. So I think you already knew. But you know, this is all in good fun. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that all of your questions were answered, and if not, it's the perfect time to follow me on Instagram so you can be notified of future Q&A videos. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to keep an open mind, keep an open heart, practice self-love and compassion, but don't take shit from anyone. I love you guys endlessly, and I hope you love yourselves even more. I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.
You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.